this period, any little savings helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home, using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever. Use promo code 3FREE. World Remit, a better way to send money. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching, and welcome to the Ghana Agenda. Today we have a packed show for you. We will be talking about Ajapa Royalty Limited. But before we go into the show, I wanted to talk to you about the fact that we haven't been on air since March, since coronavirus came, and since then we have rebranded, we have repolished, so we are packed with a lot of exciting things for you to watch. So we want to kick off this show today with a conversation about Ajapa Royalty Limited. So the question I'm sure you are asking is, what is Ajapa? Now, Ajapa was a company formed by the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Ghana in order to trade our gold royalties. So what does this whole thing mean? All right, as a country, we are endowed with gold, or God has given us gold resources. These gold resources, we give concessions or we give contracts to companies to mine these golds. And in return, those companies give us what we call royalties. This is payments they make to us every year. So what happens when we receive these royalties? When we receive these royalties, it goes to support our budgets. Annually, we receive about 120, all the way from 120 to $200 million annually. This we use to support our budget. Now, we are saying that we are forming a company called Ajapa Royalties so that we can sell the revenue we generate from those royalties to other people, or other people will buy that from us. Government is going to own parts, but other individuals would also own the rest. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how this thing is structured. So Ghana government gets royalties from the gold mines. 100% of the royalties that we receive goes to MIF. MIF will give 2.4% to GRA. GRA for receiving the royalty revenues and passing it on to MIF. For their trouble, we give them 2.4. So MIF keep 2, and then GRA keeps 2.4%. Now, 20% of the royalty resources we receive from the mining companies, as you see on the graph, these are the money we use for building roads and infrastructure in the areas where we are digging this gold, places like Prestia, places like Obuasi, etc., etc. 75.6% of the mineral resources, according to the current plan we have, would be going to Ajapa Royalties Ghana Limited, or ARG Ghana Limited. Now, that is a Ghanaian company we are forming, and this Ghanaian company will pass it on to another company we form in UK called the Ajapa Royalty Limited. We actually formed this one in Jersey in UK. I mentioned Jersey because Jersey is a tax haven. In other words, companies formed in Jersey do not pay taxes. The question is, why would we be doing this? Why are we passing 75% of our $200 million that we receive a year, or $120 million that we receive from royalty resources, to a new company that we have set up? One of the reasons we are being told is that these would help us raise funds on a stock market. In other words, we are selling our revenue to investors, and those investors will be invested in the company. The company will operate, and when it makes profit, that a dividend will be declared to us. So 100% of the fund, which is MIF, remember MIF being the investment fund, that fund is owned by Ghana. Now, MIF would be invested in Ajapa. So we are saying that once we actually float Ajapa, or we take Ajapa to the stock market, that we would have 51% of ownership of Ajapa, and 49% of Ajapa will be sold to any person. At the end of the year, when profit is made from that operation, it means Ghana would benefit 51% and the other owners would take the other 49%. So these, I know, is raising a lot of questions in your head as much as it's raising in my head. The first question I have is, who can buy into Ajapa? Can you, a Ghanaian, buy into Ajapa? And the answer is simple. No, you cannot. You all remember SSNIT, right? SSNIT. Okay, SSNIT can buy into Ajapa. Now, of course, there may be some legal issues in terms of changing the SSNIT law in order to have SSNIT actually purchase into Ajapa, but that would have been a good deal for Ajapa. And in fact, if this is a good deal, if this deal is going to return a whole lot of, is going to provide a whole lot of return to the investors, then why don't we put some of our own retirement funds like SSNIT into it? It would be a good idea, right? In other words, we would be investing in our own gold royalties. So, yes, these are the people who can actually acquire shares in Ajapa. You as an individual, unless you have your money with SSNIT and SSNIT made a decision to buy from Ajapa, or unless you are a member of a mutual fund, or you have a 401k or retirement or some type of contributions that you've made yourself into a mutual fund that is interested in buying into Ajapa, you are out of luck. Now, note that you do not have the ability to make the decision for where the mutual fund invests the money. It's the fund managers who will make that decision. Another question that comes to your mind is, why? Why would we give 75% of our money to Ajapa? As far as I'm concerned, this $200 million we get to support our budgets, how do we now get that $200 million? In place of that $200 million that we've been getting every year, we would have to go and borrow to cover that gap, because every year the government of Ghana spends more than they generate in revenue. Therefore, we go to the market and borrow every single year. So at this point, the 120 million or 200 million that we get on the annual basis, that too is going away, which means we have to go back to the stock market and borrow 200 extra million. So it raises all kinds of questions. Is the return we are getting from Ajapa more than the cost of borrowing? What do I mean? If we go to the market today, perhaps we are getting loan from the international market for 7%. Now, would Ajapa be returning more than 7% to us? Because if Ajapa is returning more than 7% to us, then we are in good investment. Now, bear in mind that the 120 million or the 200 million royalties that we get annually goes directly to support budget. Ajapa will have to declare dividends before we can actually see any cash flow. If a dividend is not declared, Ghana will not see cash flow. So what this means is that, yes, Ajapa could be doing well, all right, but if the board of Ajapa did not declare dividends, Ghana will not get the 120 million they usually get annually to support their budgets. They will have to go back to the market and borrow. Now, if Ghana's cost of borrowing is more than what the return on that investment in Ajapa is, then we are losing. So it's a big question we have to ask. You are watching Ghana Agenda, and we are back rebranded, and we have a lot of shows for you. So what we are talking about is Ajapa. Again, we are asking some of the questions that the average Ghanaian probably is contemplating. And one more question that I have in my mind is, what is the value of Ajapa? I'm sure you are all interested. We are giving 75.6% of our gold royalties to private entities or to, private investors. What does that mean to us? How much does that entails, they are evaluating this whole deal to be worth $1 billion. For you to do a proper valuation of a deal like that, we need to take what we call earnings before taxes. Usually they call it EBIT. Now, bear in mind that I said the company Ajapa is being formed in Jersey, and Jersey is a tax haven, which means these company will not be paying taxes at all. So we should just be looking at earnings, period. Not earnings before taxes. So if I take the earnings that we are projecting to have been making from these deals, which is to say that the 120 million that or $200 million that we receive from the royalty resources every year, since we are spending 75%, we will calculate 75% of that. Without having a proper valuation of this deal, we might be shooting ourselves in the foot. In other words, buyers, institutional buyers can go in, get these shares at IPO for cheap, and then turn around and sell it once it's not available for everybody else to buy in the stock market. So basically, because you and I don't have the ability to actually purchase the initial shares at IPO, when these shares come out, the investment bankers are likely to take it for cheap, turn around, and as the price skyrockets, they will sell it higher and make money on our back. Why wouldn't Ghana want to be the one to take advantage of that so that they can get the best value for our resources? Perhaps the government should do a better job explaining that. And this leads to my next question. How much information has been disclosed to the ordinary Ghanaian? There seems to be a whole lot of secrecy about this deal. Minister of Finance hasn't given much of the information that is needed to even conduct a thorough analysis of this deal in Parliament. This deal was rushed through Parliament under emergency, and so many questions are left unanswered, to the extent that politically exposed persons, for instance, the president's own relative, are part of the deal structuring. In most jurisdictions, this would have constituted a conflict of interest, but that hasn't raised any red flag in Ghana. It makes you question how our governance system is structured to protect our purse against conflict of interest. Imagine that I am giving the government resources to be managed by a cousin of mine. That wouldn't fly in any other jurisdiction but in Ghana. But this is what we've seen. I'm not going to go into names, but you know the story. As of today, we are hearing some very interesting news that Ghana is being blacklisted in the international market for money laundering. People are connecting the dots. People are saying that the government officials were seen transporting cash to the United Kingdom, and that the United Kingdom is investigating the source of those cash and the paperwork that should go with those cash. The UK government will have to now look at the Ajapa IPO that we are trying to float. Now, government also, to their credit, came out with a press release. And in that press release, they indicated that the audio that is purporting to make those claims were engineered, that it wasn't real. You're going to see this audio, and you're also going to see government's press statements.
The British authorities at the Heathrow have intercepted a cash amount of £26 million in suitcases flown into the country by private jet, with a key government official in President Nana Akufo-Addo's government on board the private jet. The Serious Fraud Office (SFO) of Britain are currently investigating the suspected money laundering and have requested documents in respect of the money from the Ghanaian government. This is coming just within days when the Belgium European giant bank, the ING Bank, gave notice to the Ghana embassy in Belgium that all embassy's accounts with the bank will be closed over money laundering and other fraudulent activities.
Getting to the end of this campaign, though, we're expecting a lot of fake audios, even including the deep fake videos. Amanyo Kuni be Edibabetua seeking to confuse the general public. And I say, editor foot for any. Now, the who want to say, Chairman, so here 2016 US for election, I really know. FBI for remove me a pepe say, the Pabon Fobi at the internet, only fake Nema, fake tapes, fake audios. your deep fake videos are some one case on bet me at the phone I video at the Sama Shawanoa in Cedar. So I hear the about the two who can say about confused and for now you expected the organ I say now a demo amanyo kuni di krampono said the abbo pa with some of the Eastern European the friend of true farms maybe say Wamundi said to Mano.
Now, why all this? I've never had to hear about Ghana being blacklisted as a destination for money laundering. We've never been blacklisted. So it's kind of strange that while we are trying to do a deal as important as this, that we have government officials getting engaged in money laundering the way it is being reported in foreign media. Also, our own special investigator has issued a statement that says that corruption risk assessment should be conducted. Corruption risk assessment is just to determine whether there is a probability of fraud in this deal. And if a probability of fraud exists, what the impact is. If the impact is significant or material enough for us to not do the deal, it would behoove us to stop the deal as a result of that fraud risk assessment. Everybody in the country who is paying attention knows that these risk assessments should have already happened before we even take these deals to Parliament. But it hasn't happened. Now, let me remind you that this deal has been advised by a relative of the president. So, in other words, there is all the ingredients of corruption, or there's all the ingredient or the setup for this deal to be one that is likely to attract a corrupt individuals or to attract corrupt activities. We call them politically exposed persons. Your cousin, brother, uncle, or sister is serving in government, so you can now win government contract. Or even if that is the case, it has to be disclosed. And an assessment has to be done to ensure that you are not corrupt or you are not getting that contract because of your knowledge or relationship with a person who is in government, or there are no favors being done to you. But this is not the case. We have taken this deal to Parliament. We rushed it through Parliament. It was passed just by the MPP part of the Parliament, or the majority in Parliament. And now we are asking for a corruption risk assessment to be performed. So I think we are putting the horse before the cat. That should have not been the case. We should have done the corruption risk assessment before a deal like the one we are discussing is taken to Parliament. Are there some goods in the deal? Are there some bad parts of the deal? I think I've already sounded almost like this is supposed to be a bad deal, but don't get me wrong, there are some good aspects of this deal, and when we get back, we'll talk about all this.
During this period, any little savings helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever. Use promo code 3FREE. World Remit, a better way to send money. Terms and conditions apply. During this period, any little savings helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever.
Welcome back, and we are talking today about the Ajapa Royalty Limited deal that Ghana has gone into. And so we are looking at what the benefits are. We've talked about so many different aspects. We talked about how the deal is structured, who put the deals together, the current news items that are coming out in terms of money laundering allegations, and we also discussed the fact that the OSP has requested for a corruption risk assessment. Now we want to look at the benefits. So what are the benefits? There are some good benefits. The benefits are that, one, Ghana used to always go for loans. We always go for loans when we need to embark on infrastructure development or for whatever reason that we need the money for. It could be to support payroll, because we have what we call a single spine payroll, which has a whole lot of people on it. And therefore, we need money. We always needed money to support our budget. And we are saying that for once in our lifetime that we will not be going for loan. We will raise money in the capital market in form of selling shares in our gold royalties. So that is a good thing. It's a good thing that we are not on the hook to pay some interest for whatever amount of years that we've signed these loans for. We are heavily indebted country. Remember when Ghana went to HIPC, right? We are on the trajectory to go to HIPC again. If care is not taken and we do not seize our appetite for loans. So this is good if it actually works. But how much is that fund? We are talking about 500 million. So again, it's a good thing. This is where we talk about give Peter and rob Paul, right? We are only going for 500 million. Is that the best we can do if we are going to the stock markets to raise funds? And how long is that going to last? So these are still lingering questions. Second benefit is that all of a sudden, Ghana has or would be the first country in Africa to actually have a gold royalties company. This is something that's all other African countries who are rich in resources. We're talking Congo, we're talking all these other countries like even Nigeria with all this oil, do not have a company that would trade their royalties on the international market. But Ghana will be the first to do that. And their goal is that not only would we be buying or using Ghana's gold royalties, but we would also go to other countries and convince them to give us or sell their royalties to us, which we can lease or we can, combine with what we have and actually form a very powerful company. So these are all good intentioned ideas or benefits that we can generate from this deal. The only thing is, should we be using 75% or 75.6% of our gold revenue or our gold royalties to be doing this? Once this is done, the 120 million that we get on an annual basis to support our budgets, it can also go all the way to 200 million. Where would we be getting that money from? Because immediately, the only cash flow that comes to us when we do this deal is going to be coming from dividend. And as we've explained earlier, dividend is not a guarantee, right? Dividend is declared by the board. So we can make profit today, but the board may decide not to declare dividend. Now, if that happens, we still, as a country, need money to support our budgets. So we still will be going to get these loans that we are actually avoiding by doing this deal. So again, we are avoiding taking loan by doing this deal, but because we do this deal, we have to go for a loan. It's oxymoron, right? You lose wherever you turn. So what we are saying is that, yes, we are calling for that corruption risk assessment to be done. Two, we are also saying that it should be looked at thoroughly. If this is going to create a hole in our budget immediately, we should make sure that we reduce our dependency on loans by cutting our quotes according to our sizes. In other words, reducing our expenditure. The biggest thing Ghana needs to really do is reduce its expenditure so that we don't have to go for all these loans. Once we do that, it doesn't matter where we take our resources to. I will be the first to support a royalty company that would trade on the stock exchange, like the London Stock Exchange of all places. Another thing is the valuation. What is the value of our gold royalties? Don't we need to know that? I'm asking. Don't you need to know that? Are they telling you? Did you think your government has told you? If I ask you, do you know exactly what our gold royalties that we are listing on the stock exchange is? What is the value? I don't know. I mean, so we need more explanation to tell what that value is. If you are going to go into any investment, to anybody who invests, if you're going to go into any investment, the first thing you think about is, what is in it for me? What am I going to get? Ghanaians, question is, what is in it for you? If we lease Ajapa, what are you going to get? Now, I don't know. Nobody has done this future cash flow projections and compare it to, okay, listen, if we go into Ajapa, chances are we are going to have a dividend yield of XYZ. That hasn't been made clear. Now, let me tell you this. If we are borrowing at 7% and our return on this Ajapa deal is not going to give us 7%, then it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. What I really ask the government is, what is the internal rate of return? The internal rate of return, as for a common person, is at what is the rate of return we will be getting on this investment. And the reason that is important is this is the rate at which net present value is equal to 0. And so if you compare that rate with what we are, getting when we go to borrow money, you can make a good judgment as to whether you are getting into a good deal or not a good deal. If you have money in the bank, all right? If you, as an individual, you have money in the bank and you are getting in your savings account and you are getting 2%, all right? Your own money sitting in the bank and you are getting 2%. You say, okay, I have a lot of savings and I'm getting 2%. Meanwhile, when you need money, you go to the same bank again and borrow at 5%. Imagine, they are giving you 2% on your savings. Meanwhile, you go and take a loan and they are giving you that loan for 5%. So it means you are actually paying 3% extra just to get a loan when you could have just withdrawn your own money. So some of these things are questions that we all can answer at this particular point because of the secrecy of this whole transaction and the lack of information coming from the government quarters. As a country, right, when we're doing a deal, whether the government in power is NDC or MPP, we should be forthcoming and provide the information for we the citizens to be able to analyze and understand what is being done with our resources. Again, this is the Ghana Agenda, and my name is Alfred Amuzu. This is your favorite politician's favorite show. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Alfred Amuzu is on Ghana Agenda every Sunday.
During this period, any little savings helps. World Remit knows how hard you work for your money and are making it easier for you to support your loved ones. World Remit prides itself in offering you a fast, simple, and secure way to send money abroad from the comfort of your home, using a computer, a smartphone, or an app. If you are a new customer, enjoy your first 3 money transfers with no World Remit fees whatsoever. Use promo code 3FREE. World Remit, a better way to send money. Terms and conditions apply.
What else?